Schoonmaker, we know that he's been making big plays for Michigan in the second half of the season, especially with Eric All out.
Yeah.
As soon as he's been gone, it's up to Schoonmaker's playing time.
Yep.
What makes Schoonmaker, because as a Michigan fan, not until this year did I notice anything kind of special. I mean, I thought, nice player. You know, he can block if he's at Michigan. That's definitely number one. And yeah,
Yep.
it seems like every time he gets the opportunity to catch the ball, he gets the job done. Not that he's a freak athletically, but he just seems like a really solid player.
Yeah, that's exactly the word. It's just solid. You feel safe with him. And, now we're talking about where we are in my tight end stack. We're talking about like round 3, round 4 area. And that's the kind of guy that you want as your number 2 tight end, because it's a high injury rate position in the league. They get hurt a lot just because they're in the mix a lot, right? They take a lot of contact over the middle after the catch. They're in the trenches, right? You always want to have a guy on your depth chart that you feel good about. Like, all right, hey, you're in now. Number 1 guy's out. We're not going to have to change the offense or supply all this help to the blocker if you go in. That's why I think his traits, they translate to the next level very well, because he can do a little bit of everything kind of well, right? Do I think he's ever going to be a dominant pass catcher, yard after catch athlete? No, he's not sudden enough. I don't think there's an explosive trait, but his footwork is really good. That's something I noticed on tape this year more than what I watched a lot of tape on Michigan prior to this season. And I just remember seeing some balance issues with his route running. That's improved mightily throughout this year. And I think it helps him get open. I trust him in traffic when the ball. So he's never going to be a guy that gets a lot of separation as a route runner. So if that's going to be the case, you need to be able to be tough in traffic when the ball's coming your way. And he's shown to do that. High effort blocker, pretty productive blocker too. So do I think he's going to be a starting caliber tight end in the NFL? I don't, but I do feel good about him being my number 2 guy, knowing that he's going to see a lot of snaps.
Now, don't you think, and look, this is why getting injured really hurts players, but Eric All.
Yeah.
I just feel like, now look, we don't know what's going to happen when he comes back from injury and how that's going to affect his workouts and so forth. But he was progressing to the point where this was going to be a breakout season for him. And I thought that he could end up as a day 2 potentially pick.
Absolutely.
He was a 4-star recruit. He's an excellent blocker to go along with. He really has shown the ability to be a good receiver as well. So is that the only reason right now he's not in your top 10?
Yeah. I mean, I have Eric All's spine surgery, that's
not your typical surgery.
Thought.
No,
he might even come back. Right now, from what I've read, I did some research online. I don't have any sources there for this, but I think he's going to be back at Michigan next year. That was another thought I had with him not putting in the top 10. But that spine surgery, that can be a deal breaker for some teams. I mean, you look at Damone Clark, who it's worked out for him in Dallas, the linebacker. He's now seeing significant snaps. He was, without a doubt, a day 2 pick.
Yes.
But because, I think his was more neck than spine. Okay. It bumped him down to the end of the draft. And they didn't know if he was going to play this year. That was the initial preliminary report on him. He would not play in 2022. Now he's on the field. It's worked out for Dallas. I think he's going to be a big part of their team down the stretch. Eric All, his grade will be so dependent on the medicals. And the teams really get a deep dive there at the combine. If he declares, if he comes out, that's when the teams are really going to get that final piece of information on him. But my film outlook on him prior to this season was Noah Fant, current tight end of the Seahawks. I thought he was that kind of athlete, and he could have made that kind of impact on a pro passing game, if not even better. So it's tough. He'd be a tough guy to advise. If we were advising on him to go back or not, it's tough because I still think there's going to be a team out there that can look at some of his past tape, and assuming he works out well and he recovers from the surgery, he could sneak into early day 3 because of the upside. But if there's still lingering questions, teams might prefer to say, hey, prove it to us next year on the field that you're back to where you were, and then we'll draft you in 2024.